Megan, get the fuck out of the way. These deals are brazy, and will last for a limited time only.
Before Aminé would self-release a series of mixtapes that would grab the attention of the hip-hop world, especially after he dropped his banger single Caroline. Before Aminé would land Scary Spice for his music video Spice Girl and meet his childhood crush Sporty Spice.
Was she your favorite Spice Girl, Moby?
You know what? She's one of my favorite Spices because she was like the only black member. But because I always played sports growing up, it was Sporty Spice.
Before Aminé would have 416,000 followers on Twitter, 1.5 million followers on Instagram, and nearly 2 million YouTube subscribers at the time of this recording. Aminé is the type of hip-hop superstar the likes of which his hometown Portland fan base probably never expected to see in their lifetimes. In the span of just 5 years, this 26-year-old went from dropping out of Portland State to self-releasing mixtapes and managed to transform himself into a major label sensation. He's come a long way from sneaking into an empty room on the Portland State campus to work on his songs, and he's managed to create a career for himself in a city that's more well known for its indie rock scene than its hip-hop, thanks to surprise breakout hit Caroline, which took a frustrated college student and turned him into a hip-hop superstar. What's poppin', guys? It's your boy Marlon Palmer back at it again with a brand new video, this one taking a look at the come up of Aminé. Prior to fame, here for you on Before They're Famous. Aminé just recently dropped his newest project, Limbo, and it's clear he hasn't missed a step since his record Good For You. For the mere fact that this man has some of the most unique music videos and music in the game, I think it was only fair we gave him an updated video. Be sure to let me know what you think by following me on Instagram at ThatDudeMcFly. We can chat some more, and let's get into the story. Aminé was born Adam Aminé Daniel on April 18, 1994 in Portland, Oregon. Hailing from Woodlawn in the northeast part of the city, Aminé grew up in a neighborhood that was vastly more diverse than the rest of his overwhelmingly white city and state. He told Heisman Albaidi, "It used to be very much a part of the black community. It's kind of turned into a hipster park now. But it's definitely the first place I got jumped, the first place I had my first fight in. Woodlawn represents a lot of good memories for me and my friends, like our innocent adolescence. First place I ever got in a fight was Chuck E. Cheese. That mouse, he don't know me." His parents moved to the United States from Ethiopia in the early 1990s, settling into Portland where his mom worked for the post office and his dad worked as a teacher and translator. Attending a predominantly white middle school, Aminé got called the N-word a lot and felt like an outsider. When he was home, his parents would speak in Amharic and listen to Ethiopian music.
Hey, do you speak any other languages?
English, Swahili, and Amharic, which is like Ethiopian.
But his mother was also willing to buy her young son albums by American artists like Tupac, Michael Jackson, Outkast, and Kanye West. In between all that R&B and hip-hop, he also found time to make room for one of his favorite artists of all time, John Mayer. Which, by the way, if you've never listened to John Mayer, then you've probably never suffered from mild depression. Dap me up, fam. Dap me up.
What's your favorite song of all time?
Vultures by John Mayer.
I heard you're a big John Mayer fan.
Huge John Mayer fan.
By the time he was a teenager, he was attending Benton Polytechnic High School, which was more of an integrated institution, and finally found a group of friends that shared his same passion for music. He began recording diss tracks about other high schools and would volunteer to help out the school's radio station KBPS AM, where he and some buddies once rapped over Flockavelli type beats in what would be the birth of his rapping career. After graduating high school, he decided to stick around in Portland, attending Portland State University to study marketing. Every summer, he would leave for New York City and crash on his aunt's couch in Harlem to take on internships that might lead him to getting a foot in the door of the industry. He worked at both Complex and Def Jam, but never gained the type of traction he was looking for. At this point in his life, all of Aminé's efforts were focused on accomplishing his dreams of making it out of Portland. And he would even avoid smoking because to him, it was a status symbol of success that he hadn't earned the right to partake in yet. At Portland State, he met his longtime producer and chief musical partner, Pasquet, in 2013. Aminé was hustling all the time, trying to build a digital network and finding early support from people like Canadian producer DJ K Trinata, who sent Aminé a batch of beats that would become a major portion of his 2015 mixtape, calling Brio. We definitely need more Aminé and K Trinata for the culture, I'm just saying.
That's my boy. He for that project, he reached out to me via like Twitter because he saw I did a remix of him and he was just like very dope. Like I was like a nobody coming up rapper and he kind of like, you know, sent me some beats and like really plugged me. So I appreciate him for that.
Throughout it all, Aminé's desire to get out of Portland was relentless, but each fall he'd return to the city from his summer internship dejected. He started to feel depressed, something that was compounded by the fact that he never talked to anyone about it. He told the New York Times, "I never really talked about it to anybody. Being depressed in black culture is not a thing. I just decided not to tell anybody, not even my friends." He took to writing in journals and held private conversations with God rather than talk to even his parents. Despite the minor success of Calling Brio and prior mixtapes like Odyssey to Me and In Vogue, his dreams of accomplishing a career in music was still far from a guarantee. But Aminé's big breakthrough moment was on its way, he just didn't know it yet. His producer Pasquet told High Snobiety, "We found out about this classroom inside of a music building that was always left unlocked. We had a schedule. I would go to work, and then after I clocked out, I would go immediately to the school and work on music all night. And it was like that for about 5 or 6 months, and then eventually it got to the point where we had a good amount of music." After conferring with one another, Aminé and Pasquet decided that a title track, Caroline, was their most polished gem and filmed a music video for it, using the last of their student loan money before releasing it out into the wild. Aminé self-directed the video and established his happy-go-lucky persona with goofball charisma effortlessly. I remember seeing this video for the first time and it felt so good just to see a group of friends just having fun in a music video for once.
If I say you're a Caroline, it's like you're a very beautiful woman. Like you're gorgeous.
It only took a few weeks after the release of that video for Vevo to offer to fly Aminé out to New York to record another performance of the single. After all these years of waiting and trying to make it, Aminé had finally arrived, but there was one last speed bump to take care of first. This recording session conflicted with a finance exam in his final year at Portland State. He told High Snobiety, "I literally was told that if I failed this final, I would fail the class. So I was like, I don't give a f. I just didn't care. I hated college, I knew it wasn't for me, but I still kept doing it because I have strict African parents that I lived with. There was no alternative for me to live under their roof without going to school." Aminé dropped out of school and headed to New York, where his affable charm helped him strike a deal with Republic Records and finally facilitated his emergence into the mainstream. Suddenly he was getting requests from Malia Obama and getting shoutouts from Young Thug, who called him a young legend backstage at a European music festival. "Congrats, sir. You've been blessed." He soon relocated once again, this time to LA, where he plugged himself into a network of the city's coolest and most hip young stars. Being this close to the action also helped him secure a ton more features when artists would stop by just to roll through the studio.
Portland's still home because I got my family's home there, so I'll be back and forth a lot. I'm in LA mostly just because of work, just studio time, and you know, a lot of my artist friends are here, so it's easier to make tracks. Like I couldn't make half of the album if I wasn't here.
Over time, Aminé has become one of hip-hop's most commanding and powerful new forces and settled in his own skin. Releasing his debut studio album Good For You in 2017, he followed that up with an EP titled 1.5 a year later, but it would be a further 2 years before his true sophomore album would come to fruition. He told GQ, "To be honest with you, I'm just really an insecure guy sometimes. Every album I release, I'm so nervous. Literally, my hands are shaking because I be caring about this shit so much." As it turns out, having someone as world famous as Beyonce roller skating to your song doesn't immediately fill you with the sense of self-worth that you thought it would. It just didn't. And as someone who is trying to make it in this industry for so long, Aminé is well aware that your reputation doesn't often rest on past laurels. More often, the case is someone asking you, well, what's next? But Aminé didn't have to worry. When Limbo finally came out in August of last year, it was met by widespread critical acclaim and debuted at number 16 on the Billboard 200, selling 26,000 units in its first week. More importantly, it further validates the young MC as a wizard of the hip-hop world built for this moment. After all, he's been preparing for it his entire life. Did you really expect a different outcome? As for the rest of the story, well, we'll just have to wait and see. After all, this is before they're famous. What did you guys think of Aminé's story? Was there anything more important that you think I left out? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Before They're Famous as well to have your voice heard on what's next. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.